It is this year, then with many different conditions that we can't do the Drupchen, and our annual retreat, two-week retreat, as as we done before, because of these conditions. Yet, nevertheless, we still have time to practice, such as Drupchens doesn't really support by these conditions because of you need Vajra master, Vajra region consorts, and Vajra activity masters of Umze, King, Chopin, and many things that makes the such as a Drupchen ceremonies, then those things are not here. And therefore, I have request blessings from Kembunga Rinpoche and our lineage. Last year we missed the Drupchen and I let him know, and this year also we missed the Drupchens, we let him know, because I have told Rinpoche that we were doing every year Drupchen for last few times. Before that, our real commitment was 100,000 Ringzun Dupa Tsok practice as a Sangha. After receiving the Longshin Yingdi teachings from him. And then that 100,000 Tsok practice and the Drupchen together kind of made it more somewhat powerful, so to speak. And therefore, and that we have done, but then didn't happen this time. Anyway, and us, as we see from these life-threatening diseases, cause many people's health and life, as we see from our own experience, left and right, front and back of us. And here, those who are gathering, and thank you very much of your thoughtful, mindful carefulness. It is of your own health and also people living at this place. Everyone's sake, you all being very, very careful, and I really appreciate that. And small Sangha that which we have here, as you see, they work tirelessly, and and their health is my thought, my care, and basically they are very, very important for me as a Lama here. It's very important for us as a Sangha. They are the one that makes this place how it is now. It is all done by them. So therefore, it is thank you very, very much of you all putting up a small discomfort of putting mask here and washing hands there and so forth. And it really means a lot. And each of our body is not a Vajra body. It's not a unchanging, indestructible kind of a way. It is a very fragile, as we all know. For example, like myself, I am trying to be very, very careful because as a family-wise, there's many families that are either dependent, you may say depending on me or involved with me in India and Tibet and so forth. Then, as a spiritual point of view, then also Sanghas in Tibet, which is involved with me. Sanghas here is also involved with me. Sanghas in north and south, because there is some Sanghas, they are involved with me, and so therefore I'm trying to be careful. And these are very, very important, such as my immediate point of view. I'm not a monk, I'm a lay person. I have a wife, I have a child, and also these are all I have to consider. So therefore, then many of you have families, parents, siblings, partners, and so forth. So therefore, it is very, very important to be somewhat mindful and careful of these things. We can't undermine these things. We may say, yes, it is my karma. Yes, there is, in the one case, yes. In the other hand, also obstacles can come before your longevity exhausted by your own karma. Obstacles can come and shortening your life is possible, and sicknesses. Sickness may have long-lasting effects. So therefore, it is very, very important to being careful is very, very important. This is nothing to do with the politics. It is the fact of a virus. Virus doesn't see of left wing and right wing and middle wing. It is just everyone gets it, can get it. So therefore, it is very, very important to be careful for others' sake, at least for your own sake and your own family's sake. And so therefore, you are being careful. Those who are here, thank you very, very much. And then those who are watching, listening now, and also it is very important, and please do take this in a serious way. Of course, we can pray to Buddha Dharma Sangha Lama Yidam Drakini in order to have as a protections, as we are doing here every day since the COVID started. We were doing Chinese practice, Thamon Japu supplication prayers and so forth. Of course, there is a benefits. At the same time, we do have to see this one very, very thoroughly and carefully. Okay.
Galaxy 113 3 times, then 117. Gotas Oim 09 y Oim 3. Om Aunri De Chimbawa Wangi Podande De Tonzo Topeya Shikru Asha De Dembe Merashin Le Dojeni Mana Chukunawa Dae Dojen Chul Jide Wanju Doje Jejaso Pema Jabo Konde Nawanju Nasezena Wanje Samvaye Jembenza Varaye Denjundo Bejabo de Gente Malu Chiku Intore Jema Jodunja Jewanju de Paunda Kitsu Nando Nyamba Chimbo Nganito Doje Kuye Kaje Sesomyo Game Sungi Jide Kansu
Ose mabon konde yon la cha, sikshi danjo yoshin de prache, doje chapa chambo tu jine, namye ngatun du kunjo Jaju Shaba Chambo Ye, Nasi Deva Chambo Domje Pan, Taye Chunchu Trave Roga Jen, Deji Kombu Cheva Shin, Rajan Zaso Wange Laso La, Kupe Sowa Tepso Jinje Lo, Choten Ngutun Duku Pada, Tome Wanda Jepe Ngutun Soma. Bhava Vange Purandu, Jeon Soso Tobe Yeshitu,
Macha Deden Beme Ranjime, Dojene Manawa Jamboba.
Navadaye Doje Chu, Jite Wanju Tuje Jijasun, Pema Jabu Kunde Nawanju,
Nazizu Nawanjineru.
Sanwaye Shembenza Varaye, Denchon Tepe Jabo De Jente, Malu Chigu Yinchu Rije Man, Chutun Chaje Wanju Deda.
Wanze Doje Pawo Taki Tu, Nanto Nyamba
Shimbu Ngani Tu, Doje Kuye Kachi Sesum Jo, Kame Sun Ishe Te Kam. Ose Mabu Koe Toa, Doje Nanje Yoshin Tupache, Doje Chapa Chambu Tujine, Namye Ngutun Tukun Chusu. Doje Chachu Shapa Chambu Ye, Nasi Deva Chambu Domje Pan, Taye Chunchu Trave Ruka Chen, Deji Kombu Cheva Shinshu. Ranjan Zasu Wange Laso La,
Kupeso Wate So Jinjilo.
Choten Ngutun Tuku Pada, Tome Wanda Jepe Ngutun So. Dejen Baba Wange Purandu, Dedon Soso Tobe Yeshiku,
Macha Deden Beme Ranjime,
Doje Mima Nawa Chembu.
Chukuna
Nandaye Doje Chu, Jite Wanju Tuje Jejasun, Pema Jabu Kunde Nawanju, Nasi Sanu Wanje Heru. Sanwaye Shembenza Varaye, Denchon De Jabon De Jede, Malu Chegu Yintu Rije Man, Chutun Chaje Wanju Deda. Wanje Doje Pawo Tape So, Nanto Nyamba Chembo Ngani Tu, Doje Kuye Kachi Sesum Yo, Kame Sunge Shete Kamso. Ose Mabon Konde Yon La Cha, Sishi Danjo Yoshin De Prache, Doje Chapa Chembo Tujine, Namye Ngutun Tukun Chusu. Doje Chachu Shapa Chembo Ye, Nasi Deva Chembo Domje Pan, Taye Chunchu Trave Roga Chen, Deji Kombu Cheva Shinju. Rajan Zasu Wange Laso La, Kupe Dipsu Jinji Lo, Choten Ngutun Tuku Pada,
Tome Wanda
Jepe Ngutun So.
Nansi
Nanda Rashi Lundru Rashi Choju Shina Shupaye Sanje Chudan Gendun Pape Tsu Kunla Chanza Daja Rashi Dumi Jabu Zaden Dundru Go Chambe Jamba Genda Baba Vai Kunla Gomba Jache Drapa Elumbo Damba Zara Badani Semje Damje Lago Drape Pa Yezen Zepa Zara Drapane Zenzan Debe Drashi Pambewa Deva Sheba
Jela Tatsa Lui Jamba Shenu
Paden Dojen Ze Jenre Sewan Gumbo Jambe Same Nimbo Driba Namba Se Namge Nimbo Banjo Kundu Doje Pekka Lushin Dan Nubu Drawa Radhe Nyima Chansen Lena Trashi Pachin Jo Chanju Semba Jela Chanza Rin rinchen dunjo trashi seje nyan dunjo bonsan yevon kama nyendra dundam bonzo pabe menu janze wanjun kolote rinchen danjo jeje janze je zasu
Jawa Jeje Mai Keso
Ngowo Tembe Bambe Trashi Lamo
Jela
Jansando Samba Jembo Denjo Seme Bo Medon Dendan Jabo
Yoko Sue
Paji Bodan Luwa Mimizai Namde Zede Laze Golo Jishu Landan Dundu Doje Bewan Radre Jode Jaze Zansu Nezu Kele Trashi Benjide Jowa Jela Chanza Daja Dende Jawa Zomba Lai Kedan Yewan Zewa Kunji Dende Bambe Sande Yejin Daji De Ponson Zoba Shu
Dacha
Ne Jawa Zomba Lai Kedan Yewan Zewa Kunji
Tudun Babel Sande Yejin Trashi Dele Ponson Zoba Shu Dacha Dende Jawa Zomba Gedan Yewan Zewa Kunji Dundun Babel Sande Yejin Trashi Dele Ponson Zoba Shu So I have to charge this one. Gusando Sankara Shirize Bemagara Jimbani Shunga Sosonumya Dedun Jazas Kadrilama Namla Sovande Zamlin Zibe Jinjun Chunida Doje Londo Nyambe Dungaya Nadra Dambal Bebe Dojoje Konde Chugru Zope Longchemba Jime Waze Shabla Sovande Shijakun Sendola Jizide Jime Waze Yandro Tudenzo Waza Longchenam Kenan Jurba Jigme Ling Shabla Sovande Tusum Kunje Beman Juni Sabde Dabo Ngazon Kolo Juro Sangi Limbe Yandro Benzuncha Kosan Shemben Shabla Sovande Papanjik De Wanjo Tujin Roban Talin Repete Bunjo Rezetun De Longchen Nanjurba Jigme Jave Nyugu Sovande Chida Jave Zewa Shivala Nandra Drupe Panjo Shavare Sawan Panjo Dunga Ranrungan Jigme Chuji Wambu Sovande Chujin Duba Ronim Gandu Ze Loji Rima Kada Yinsoya Zoba Chembo Nelu Ngusum De Londo Tembe Nima Sovande Sanjo Chingur Ngujun Bimala Kosan Chugur Tumba Longchemba Yemen Hage Wambu Sovande Tuye Yemen Dreba Jinje Lo Nenjo Rivo Zenge Shingam So Jamba Tuji Jenla Yilame Jime Ponzo Shabla Sovande Gonju Toban Bobra Jinje Lo Nenjo Rivo Zenge Shingam So Jamba Tuji Jenla Yilame Jime Ponzo Shabla Sovande Gonju Toban Bobra Jinje Lo Menjo Nenjo Rivo Zenge Shingam So Jamba Tuji Jenla Yilame Jime Ponzo Shabla Sovande Gonju Toban Bobra Jinje Lo
Ransom Chuji Inje Podane, Tusum Sanje Kunjing Owenye, Ransom Chugu, Sum Tenzuba, Savella Meshala. So one the Mengumbo Paden Lamala, Nyamni Chuku Dave Muguji, Tenju Gumbe Chenlam Nilambo, Ribazaje Wanje Yonto Show, the Mengumbo Paden Lamala, Nyamni Chuku Dave Muguji, Tenju Gumbe Chenlam Nilambo. Ribazaje Wanje Yonto Show, the Mengumbo Paden Lamala, Nyamni Chuku Dave Muguji, Tenju Gumbe Chenlam Nilambo. Rigbaza je wan je yon to sho da shin sim jin tam ji ji ju jin ji la bran ze do so nama aya dam ba la ye ge dan do dan nu jin ge dum da da me ge nam la ro wa gun je da ge je zam ba tam je ge do so so te ju je kan da ju ju dong gen ji de na de je lom ra ju ba kan su da ten de te be chu je ja Sembaro Badam Jindishi. Us having this opportunity to to have the opportunity to gather here and to have opportunity to practice the practice of Buddha Dharma, particularly such as Vajrayana practice, and then Vajrayana practice also the Longchen Nyingti practice. Then there's the two factors that we have to understand. One, from merit of our own life in the past, having done something positive, having accumulating certain degrees of virtue, by force of that, us having this particular birth and being able to be around the holy Dharma, then us particularly having place like this and the lineage such as a Longchen Nyingtik and these things, then have to do so much with the kindness of our teacher, His Eminence Chagdud Rinpoche. So therefore, there's two factors which we have to acknowledge and rejoice. Rejoicing will help us to develop further and further positive forces within oneself, and also develop further and further bond with the lineage, bond with the practice of Vajrayana. So therefore it is a crucial thing. So, as we have done something past, something positive, that is also involved with the mind. Right now, us trying to learn and trying to become somewhat realized person, in order to bring benefit, either you say two benefits or benefits of the Mother Sentient Being, that also has to be about the mind. Basically, in the past, whatever we have created, that is also by the mind as a positive, as a negative, us being born into samsara many, many times, that is also have to do with certain emotions such as either 3 poisons or the 5 poisons, then being born at higher places, middle places, lower places, and so forth. These are all have to do, again, with the mind. Then, future also is all depends on the mind. And so therefore, as we have talked at the mind trainings, wonder practice times, and so forth, every sitting, every teaching times, we always have to pay attention to this particular issue. Even though without mind involving, nothing will, create. All actions have to have something to do with the mind. Without the mind, then it's like a log. So then the log might have the same function as how we create positive and negative and result as a happiness and suffering. Then laws can also have the similar things. So therefore we know it's not that way. So every action that we do that does have involvement of mind, but mind have to do so much with our habitual force, driven by the habitual force. There then comes all kinds of the habitual force of the mind is the one that brings us this huge contradiction that we have to know. After all, Mother Sentient Beings of the 6 zones, our own families, our own this life's parents, and ourselves as me, as we all have very strong force of me and mine. All basically, in a nutshell, it is all have to do us wanting happiness, us not wanting sufferings in every moment, and yet we know that we can't live up to how we have the wish. So therefore, it is very, very important to know how important it is to pay attention Two, such as developing a positive attitude, positive intention is so, so important. Yi so yi ni rabdun jogbate lenum kunjin nala yin ro. This particular quotation is a very, very, very important one. Remembering these words are very, very nice. Yi so means mind is important. Mind is very fast. Like lightning, every action every actions, how you say, leads by the mind, or basically thought, right? First, thought arises, then action follows. Minute we see a flower, at minute we see flower, instant of that there is no attachment or aversion. You see the flower and then arises of our this and that, good, bad, I like this, I don't like this, or I don't like this person, I like this person. All of those things, instant, there's no, I say, a born birth of everything like this, not. First comes and then follows like this. So therefore, being, as you see, when we pay a little attention or develop some degrees of mindfulness, and then it brings our goal and the action going together will come. If we don't have any mindfulness in these things, then our goal and action will not go together. Our habitual, samsaric habitual force will come, and then that will bring the whole contradictions. So therefore, as I always try to remind people, practitioners, as a brothers and sisters, and myself, as a practitioner, we are supposed to challenge our samsaric habits, habitual force. If you don't challenge our samsaric habitual force, and if you allow that to be intact as before, then we are not exactly practicing the Dharma, Buddha Dharma. Buddha Dharma, which we'll talk tomorrow, but Buddha Dharma has two functions. One is corrections or perfecting corrections. Then the second one is a protection. Corrections from our negative habitual forces. That is what we're trying to correct. And what we're trying to protect is what we brought in as an antidote for the poisons, negative emotions. Then that we're trying to protect and guard in order to grow and grow and grow. Chojobji Yönden. So that is the Dharma, function of the Dharma. So therefore, we practice and we practice and we practice year after year after year after year. And if we allow our samsaric habitual force intact as where we before we began the practice of Dharma, then we have to make a question to ourselves. Am I practicing a Dharma? Am I practicing a Buddha Dharma? Am I allowing all the teachings, all the instructions that we receive, am I allowing this to embed it in me? So we have to make the questions. When I was going into the 3-year retreat, I think I told this story before to you. Rinpoche, my father, our Rinpoche, made me contemplate on the four thoughts for 3 months. Of course, as a teacher, I can't talk back to him. I can't argue with him. As a father in our culture, we don't argue with your parents. So I kind of went along. But in my mind, I thought, I have done Choling Tersa Ngondro before, I have done Nyingthik Ngondro before, whole completed. I thought maybe I'm okay with this contemplations. By that, Rinpoche is pushing me on that, brought the best thing for my life. Best thing for my life. That Rinpoche pushing me on that and asking questions and have to talk to him often, like these kind of things. That's the one that really developed the respect to the teachings, respect to the Dharma in general, and the teachings and the instructions. I have very little knowledge in the sense of intellectual, knowledge in the sense of a realization. Not because of my teachers, my own this big head with a tiny brain, that big head with a tiny brain can't, how is it, absorb. But whatever I have a little bit, it is all due to the blessings. So anyway, what I'm trying to ask you or encourage you or suggest you is that our life is like a sun. Once the sun come up, sun goes to one direction. That is none other than going down. Going down. And so therefore, we have to really accept. We don't have ever living here forever. It is not possible. As we all know, in a subtle level or some level, we all know. But again, our habitual force doesn't allow that to really stick with us. And so therefore we have to remember that that one, we have to develop a genuine kind of a sense of genuine attitude towards Dharma. There is again a quotation says that virtue or non-virtue, all these virtues and non-virtues are all accumulated and created by mind. And so therefore, in a nutshell, what we were saying is that happiness and suffering all created by our own this mind. And so therefore, we have this mind that has a potential of both. And then look, these two potentials, which is the one that fulfills our wish. And then we have to how you say, follow, isn't it? And so therefore, so we are engaging into a retreat, so to speak, a retreat. And in the retreat, as we know, basically, and the Tibetan word is sam. So I think the retreat also has a similar meaning, I think. Basically, retreat has, what is the meaning exactly from the word of retreat? Yes. Yes. Pull back from activities, whatever it is, isn't it? Yes. So therefore, cham has a similar meaning in English that sounds like basically how is it, drawing certain boundaries to our existence, so to speak, of these days. Of course, goes by outer, inner, and secret, many ways that we can talk. In generally speaking, it is very, very important how we relate to this retreat times. The way we relate in many different levels, yeah, many different levels that we can relate to. And of course, we are not, since we are not in the Drupchen, so therefore we are not putting these four kings and all of those things we are not doing. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we can't do those things through our own meditative point of view. We can do that. So therefore, we will talk. As when we visualize the mandala, then the four gatekeeper, so to speak, naturally comes within the mandala. So therefore, it is already exist. Protecting by the four gatekeeper, visualizing that and having a sense of kind of a, usually ritualist point of view, this Drupchen times, we make offerings, we have a offerings set there, we do offerings every day and so forth. But now as a retreat in a Drumchok point of view, we don't go around, but when we make offerings in the noon as a sadhana point of view, offering praise, that time of course we make offerings to the mandala as a principle and the retinues, and of course as a for gatekeeper and those kind of a idea as the outer boundary. Then outer boundary as a kind of four gatekeeper kind of a visualization that we do. Then inner boundary, so to speak, then that as oneself remaining in the pride of deity from the in the heart chakra syllable hung, and then syllable hung is none other than being the what do you call primordial nature, absolute mind. From there, then emanating the 10 wrathful deities, then that guarding, so to speak, the four directions, sub-directions, above and below as the 10 directions, then the wisdom deities, visualizations, or from the syllable hung at the heart, from there, then the emanating 5 wisdom qualities as then basically the 5 circle of wisdom boundaries. So basically, in the nutshell, so then the, as a Vajra tent is either like a round or egg-shaped kind of a thing, but completely as a web of a wisdom energy, or the wisdom quality, wisdom fire. Vajra chain, which is Vajra chain is none other than a wisdom quality. It's like a fine woven of a wisdom that doesn't allow any negativities to come in. That kind of idea is the inner kind of a boundary. Then the secret boundary is none other than our own absolute view. In the absolute view, there is no such a thing as a existing out there as a negative, as a harm doers, and self as something superior, and something out there as a inferior, that kind of nature. Everything's nature, everything is from the primordially kind of pure. Basically, yeah, that's the way. So, whatever at the same, yes, the secret boundary of ideally that kind of a way, but at the same time, uh, we might be not in that mode all the time. So where we kind of conceal the idea of secret boundary is that yes, we may have a thought of harm doers. They may be something as a negative beings, but trying to to conceal that with the absolute view. From the absolute view, there is no difference between the harm doers and the deity. uh, what do you call? Yeah. And so therefore, and then with those kind of understanding, and then we have to we have to kind of lay out our practice every day. So now, in order to support, in order to really have a strong impact, so to speak, of into our practice day by day. So then secret one is wonderful, secret boundary is wonderful, but now after establishing the inner boundary, as we talked before, that is something more easier to be with. That is more we can chew on, so to speak. And now, what we can do in order to have the mandala, the Vajra tent that we have created, and then in order to not have influence of external and also within as a distractions to our own thoughts and these things. And then we have to pay attention. This is a very important one. Outer point of view, as we have now here, we are here as a practice. We have see some. We are together basically, not like an isolated individual retreat. So therefore, then besides who we are here, then not really interacting with the others, those who are not in the retreat, is a big help to our own practice. Then, as a boundary of the physical activities, then the boundary to the speech activity. This is a very important one. We have done many retreats, right? All of us have done many retreats. And many retreats, you start and then you feel like it finished very fast. In that feeling, look how much we really stick with the practice, and how much we invoke other things in that times. There is so much time of our retreat time is occupied by other things. What kind of invades is when we talk too much. When we talk and talk, then at the time things pop up while you're sitting time, then also those thoughts comes into you. And basically, while you are in the middle of talks, in the breaks, of course, it doesn't help you to be in the practice. In the practice time, then those talks and those thoughts also comes into you. So your time of the tune, the practice also occupies by those. So your time flies, time flies. Oh, practice is, oh, retreat is finished. Then you look back, how much you have that and how much you have practice. So now, if you do less talk, either silence or less talk, then you will have more thought of practice, thought of Dharma. And therefore, you will feel like 2 weeks is like a 2-week retreat, or 2 weeks is maybe like a 10-day retreat, or 2 weeks is maybe like a 1-week retreat. Not like a 2-week retreat feel like a 2-day retreat because of all the occupying stuff. Like a fan, when the fan is active, fan stirs all the dust and these things up, isn't it? Similarly, when we talk too much, thought becomes more and more active. And so therefore, it is very, very important, of course, to having some sense of kind of a boundary to our own speech action. Is very, very important. Such master as a Tromge Arik. Tromge Arik is one of the root teacher of Khenpo Ngakar Rinpoche, as we have picture here, Sanjit Siring. When he does retreat, he doesn't talk, silence. Why? Because of those reasons. And having done those kind of way, and he become who he is. So therefore, what I'm trying to say is that it is very important. We don't have so many months, so many weeks and so many months to do a retreat. So therefore, when we have a small, only 2 weeks we have, then really maximize from your physical action-wise, verbal action-wise, then of course mental-wise. Understanding what is the one that brings us into the samsara. It is none other than these emotions, such as a desire, anger, ignorance, pride, jealousy, miserliness. These things is the one, these thoughts of these emotions is the one that brings us more and more and more, deeper and deeper into this samsara. Pride relates to God realm. Jealousy relates to demigod. Desire relates to human. Ignorant or the stupidity relates to animal. Miserliness relates to hungry ghost. Anger relates to hell realms. And so therefore, then what those emotion of those are the cause of all of those being us being born into a God realm, very strong force of pride, and so forth. So therefore, then see, each realm has so much suffering, isn't it? So much sufferings. So, wherever we take birth, Mizang, oh yeah, the quotation goes this way: where there is loo, there is no good smell. Mizang Tromge Jigme. So, wherever we take birth in the world, high or low, it is a suffering nature that we all know. And so therefore, all of those things are created by our negative minds. And so therefore, putting a boundary to our mental activities, trying to decrease, eliminate the negative activities, and then adopt positive activities. So then that is the mind boundary, establishing a boundary of mental activity in one eliminating negative, one adopting a positive mental activities. And so therefore, then it is very, very important what do you call to basically know the idea of a retreat, what we supposed to, that this is what we supposed to have as a fundamental support to our success, is these few things, isn't it? Few things. So now we talk about having a boundaries, about physical as an outer physical activity, inner as a what I call speech activities, secret mental activity, boundary to the mental activities. So in order to have these somewhat being able to put a boundary, so to speak, right? Of course, knowing in general is a one good thing. Knowing, okay, this brings this brings this, it's a very good thing. So basically, knowing of these negative emotions as 3 poisons and 5 poisons brings the sufferings of the basically how we exist in this world. These things happen. So therefore, us wanting to decrease the contradiction with our own with ourselves, and then mindfulness, alertness or vigilance, right? Then carefulness. These things are very, very, very important. Now, having said this, boundary of this, boundary of that, what makes these things very easy is by having some understanding of how the samsara is. Samsara is a suffering nature, as we talked before, and so therefore, when we really have some insight of this, then we will be not so caught with that force, because we get the conclusion that more we bind with this samsaric behavior, the more and more or deeper and deeper we get in. So therefore, is it something that we want? Something that is goes with ourselves? So, Ngenjungi law, there's some degrees of renunciation aspect is the one that basically helps us to say, okay, less physical activity of the samsaric things, less verbal activity of the samsaric things, less mental activity of the samsaric things, is due to those kind of a less of the physicals of the samsaric actions and the verbal and the mental, these things, by understanding, isn't it? By understanding. So therefore, and then we will not go into the we have done contemplations, studies, and these things on these subjects before, and so therefore, as a summary-wise, the renunciation aspect comes from the four thoughts, four thought teachings and four thought contemplations. And why it is important to have a renunciation idea? As we were talking before, in a nutshell, as a three-person point of view, that we say the three realms, right? Desire, form, and formless comes from the three poisons, and then if you talk about five poisons plus miserliness things, and then the six realms comes. And so therefore, more and the kind of more we caught with these things, the more and more we get deeper and deeper in. As example comes in the teaching says, like elephants with the idea of coolness goes into the mud puddle deeper and deeper, and then what happens is that then it sinks and stuck, can't get out, isn't it? Weight of the body becomes is heavy, so then it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So therefore, so us knowing the samsara is a suffering nature, and so therefore, in the ultimate level, of course, I myself and all beings wanting to be free from the samsara, or at least oneself. So that's the idea. Because if we are if we have the strong bond with the samsaric way of being, and then we can't fulfill our wishes. Maybe as a temporary happiness may be there, but then as we know, the temporary is temporary, so it is whatever the merit of the worldly merit, positivities of the worldly has an exhausting quality, and that exhausting quality is a very, very temporary. As you read in the teachings, even as the realms of higher also becomes like a kindle in the lower realms, and so therefore we have to be very, very careful. So we have to, and in the nutshell, we were saying is that if we have a genuine renunciation idea, then less contradiction in our life. Whatever our wish is, see, every one of us here, our wish is to be happy, to have happiness. Our wish is to abandon suffering, to be free from the suffering. And so therefore, once we generate, or once we arrive to that state, so then there is only thing exists is a decreasing of the samsaric force, increases the force that brings none other than a liberation or happiness. So that is one thing that we have to look into, isn't it? So, and then the genuine aspect of the training of the renounce, the idea of the Ngenjung, that comes from the Lodot Namshi, precious human birth, impermanent, and karma and defects of the samsara, those four things. The nutshell, as we all know, the function of these, what it does, precious human birth and impermanent helps to decrease the force of clinging to this life. Karma and the defects of samsara helps to decrease the force of clinging to the future lives. So therefore, as we all have done contemplation on the precious human birth and impermanent, karma and the defects of samsara, these things are basically it works in many, many levels. As I always try to remember and remind people that having a developing an understanding of the impermanent is a first step of realizing emptiness. It's like a preliminary of the practice, as like a preliminary of the emptiness. Karma and the defect of samsara, understanding the inside of that is none other than developing a bodhicitta. Is the first step of that. Basically, first two helps to support the practice of emptiness. Second two helps to support the practice of compassion, great compassion. So every practice is based on that, isn't it? Padre Rinpoche has a saying, sem tul, rang sem chuji tul, lodo namshi lodo namshi rang sem tul juna hlagum chezo deju menayang tharbe lamle tharbe lamle chuks that exactly word I don't remember, basically saying that train your mind with the four thoughts, and through the training, even though if you don't have a great meditation of deity and the generating and the completion and accumulations of mantras, that trained person of the four thoughts is nothing, there is no, there's no place to fall from the path of liberation. That's the meaning there. Because the four thought training, mind training, it helps us to wean from the samsaric activities. Falling from the path of liberation is none other than that, right? Falling into the samsaric things. And once we are free from those potentials, then it is naturally become, free of distractions, right? So now think of this way. Before we are talking about outer boundary, inner boundary, secret boundary, physical boundary, speech boundary, mental boundary, once we train in these four thoughts, we create boundary naturally. We create boundary very, very nicely. Boundary that we have created by the training, you don't have any fights happening in you. Creating a Vajra tent, there may be a lot of fight in the creating of the Vajra tent possible. Creating the outer boundary in a sense of the four gatekeepers, so to speak, of the meditation of those things might have so much, fights, even though we are creating a boundary in order to have more, practice, right? Free of distractions, free of disturbance. Yet, our own mind might be the one that creating more and more, dualistic, bad outside there, good inside here, and things like this. So, as you see, the developing of these things are very, very important. So, we will not go into these as detail as we have done before. Basically, we have talked many times, but most importantly, when we are sitting times, knowing how to sit as a meditation. Let's say doing a Tai Chi, doing a Qigong, Tai Chi, let's say. Tai Chi. You can't be a good Tai Chi person if you are so rigid physically, mentally, right? The person has to be a very, very relax, looseness to the body, looseness to the mind. That kind of a way, then the Tai Chi happens. The moving of the Qi happens. Similarly, when you are meditating, you have to have a body with a good posture, of course. Posture either by sitting with a lotus kind of a way or Vajra seating kind of a way with a spine straight at least, or seven posture. That's just a support, but that body, either you have half lotus or a full lotus or a Vajra posture or whatever it is, the body has to be good to have a posture that looks like a statue, but looseness, not like a statue, like a made out of copper that doesn't bend at all. Posture like a statue, where we see Buddha straight, but have to have a looseness to the body, not uptight. Then similarly, breathing wise also, very natural. Mind, of course, present, not in a sense of a dull present with the clarity. If you are so dull they almost fall asleep, that doesn't count as a practicing. That's more like a sleeping. So therefore, body on the cushion, body proper posture with the looseness. Then the proper posture naturally makes the channels straight. And then there, breathing naturally, it helps to basically to have the flow of the wind much smoother, and having that then helps mind becomes very, very workable. Mana luyeba, lula semyeba, semla chuyeba. Then in that mind being present, then it has to start from there, present, from the then pure motivation, from there onwards, and then we have to be with basically mind being with the Dharma. As we talked before, it is nothing but positive according to the practice as we follow. That has to be there. Great Tsongkhapa Pachimbo's saying that is such a beautiful one. Yunthun Traman Nyeka Yunthun Namke Lodandra Nyeka means hard to obtain. Yunthun means very short time. Namke Lotandra means like a lightning. Lightning is very, very doesn't happen all the time. Happens once in a while. Very rare. Then that lightning is also very, very short, right? Very, very short. Similarly, what we have as our birth is like that. It doesn't happen easily. There is so much involved with the result. This being the result of past doing something good. Having some positivity happening as a moral discipline. On the top of that, then based on that being, then as a generosities and so forth, basically a certain virtue behavior, virtue actions on top of that, then these what we have is happened. And so therefore, this particular birthday which we have is a very, very, very precious, very rare. And in the Kadamba teaching says, if we live for 1 or 2 months, if we live for 1 or 2 months, then trying to have some plan of the future as the next life, so to speak. To creating some positive things so that there is a positivity, potential of us having a better birth in the future. See, again, Atisha's words, how we were in the past, look at this life, this is the result of our, action of the past, right? How you will be in the future, look at your action now. Action is the cause of the future. So therefore, if we have any plan to be a better person in every level, then whatever we may have 1 or 2 months to live, want to do as as good as we can in order to have that merit. Then says, if we live for 1, 2, or 3 years, then seek for something good in a sense of permanent, ultimate plan or ultimate happiness. Put effort into finding those. So basically, in this birth, everything is possible. Even though it is short, it is possible. Lightning is very short, but as we know, lightning is very, very powerful. in that short period can do many things. Can destroy, can burn valleys and mountains and so forth. So similarly, our on this potential, this birthday which we have, can do those things. In that short time, like lightning, all the habitual force and the negativities can be burnt. In that short, such as revealing our own absolute purity can be revealed. When that revealed, so then it's like a sun. Naturally, the darkness has it dispelled, right? So therefore, it naturally happens. And so it is a very, very important nutshell is that once we develop this genuine respect to our birth, who we are as a human being in these conditions that what we have, and then our day by day becomes more and more meaningful. You sit and practice and you gaze here and gaze there and do this practice and that practice, meditations, but have zero appreciation of your quality of the birth, then it doesn't really say so much. Doesn't really say so much. More of your attached, more shows that you have attachment to a certain aspect of the practice. You have through that attachment, you show some degrees of respect, so to speak, to the practice, but not so much to those who are practicing. After all, ourself is the one that has to deal with our habitual forces. So anyway, nutshell, in order to have a proper practice, and then we have to have some understanding of how the samsara is. Allowing exactly the way we are kind of using our energy into this samsaric habitual force way, do we gain anything from there as a positive? It is for sure we can say no, we can't gain. We can't gain anything for ourselves, we can't gain anything for others in order to help and eliminate sufferings. So therefore, and then example is this way. Basically, once, see, we live in a kind of a woods place. Has so many. It's not flat. It has ups and downs and holes and cliffs and things like this. If you walk carelessly, you can hurt yourself. Oh, speaking of these things, it's very warm. I just saw a snake on the road while I was walking down. And be careful. We have snakes of all kinds. Some of them bite. All of them, I think bite. But some of them can be hurtful. So, a flashlight is important evening times. So anyway, what I was saying before that? Oh yeah, carelessly. And then we can get hurt, right? So by knowing that if there is some mindfulness, and then when you see a cliff, now you will not fall, right? You will not fall. If you see a hole, you will not step into the hole so that your ankle can get twisted and break and so forth. Similarly, when we have some training through this karma, defect of samsara and these things, then that develops, brings a mindfulness in our life, vigilance or the alertness and the carefulness and these, then everything goes as our plan. Less contradiction. Less contradiction, there are less obstacles. Less confusion. Less contradiction, the more joy in the practice. More joy in the practice, then the more you will practice. More you have contradiction and fight within you, more you have these kind of stuff, the less joy there. Less joy there, the less you will practice. So therefore, we have to, as we see, simply developing a genuine kind of a training itself is a great sense of kind of this idea of boundary from the physical aspect of the samsaric actions and the mind and speech and so forth. So therefore, it is very, very important to bring these things in, right? So then, we will talk more from tomorrow onwards. Then tomorrow morning, first tune. Then the contemplating, the cleansing breath, and the contemplating on the four thoughts, as we have done before. And then from the 9 o'clock on, 9:30 on 9 o'clock, isn't it? 9. So then we will teach, and then the more we go on the teachings, the more we'll add on to our meditations. So in a nutshell, I want to say is that let's try to make our 2 weeks practice as a 2-week retreat as a 2-week practice. Then let's build up that attitude and mental force. Yeah. Then, what that means? Then, since we are in the practice of Vajrayana practice, where you are in here, you're supposed to be in the meditations of the Vajra body, Vajra speech, Vajra mind. If you are walking around, the similar things. So basically, we're either sitting, walking, eating, sleeping, we always trying to engage in the practice. Yeah? So therefore, so then the 2-week becomes a 2-week practice idea. Having said that, do we have a full control of the sleep state? Not yet. At the same time, we have to put effort to try to bring at least that thought to the bed, to your head going to the pillow, till there. From there onwards, maybe there, maybe not there, doesn't matter. But we have to bring it to there. Then from there, might be gone, but the next time might be there for a while, then may be gone, then next time longer. Basically everything is possible. Of course, takes time, takes patience, right? So it's like we have a saying in the teaching says, taking steps, right? Steps. 1 steps, 2 steps, 3 steps, even though each steps doesn't really mean so much, but having many steps taken, then it becomes, let's say, mile, 2 mile, 3 mile. Then also we have a saying in the teaching says, drip, has a drop of water. Drop of water can fill filled containers. Pots can be filled. Lakes can be filled by drops of rains. Then such as the ocean is also many of these things becomes, isn't it? So therefore, it just simply takes effort, repetitions, basically repetitions. More and more we do the repetitions, the more and more we get familiar, and more we get familiar, the more and more we can bring it closer to death, closer to sleep, and then that in the sleep, so forth. So therefore, it is very important. Practice should not be only idea of as a tune sitting kind of way like this. We should have an idea of the all 24 hour is the opportunity of practice. All time is opportunity. So therefore, we should have that kind of a aspiration. And then we practice diligently, and then things will happen. Okay. Then we take a short break, and then we come back. Nandra Risum Langa Chugunga, Kudayeshi, Robanjam. Sabsan Nanjur Chimbu Nyamnela, Yemetu Jitile Rojeshu, Kewa Kundu Yanda Lamada, Rameshu Jipala, Sadan Lamji Yundera, Paden Lame Gombanyu to show 15 minutes.
We'll return in 15.
Oh, is it a dinner time now, or what's happening? We don't have dinner. So what is the schedule?
Just for tonight, we didn't have a specific dinner time. It was maybe going to be after the puja, but daily puja done.
Okay, then we'll take a short break. 10 minutes.
Okay, 10-minute break, and we come back.
We are not doing consecrations, but you can leave it.
You don't think this year, maybe? This year?
This year sometime, but not.
We're going to be starting the puja with Galaxy pages 1 through 9.
We will skip that one today.
Oh,
7 and prayers, and then we go directly to here.
okay.
Tomorrow, then we do this.
Okay, thanks. Lung Chen Ning Tik.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll begin with the 7-line prayer, and then we'll go to the Rigzen Dupa Sadhana, the Lung Chen Ning Tik lineage prayer, followed by Reign of Cities. Okay. Gotas Hoen, depois Rigzen Dupa. Rigzen Dupa Nove. Desculpa. Rigzen Dupa 5, depois Rigzen Dupa 9.
Jin Jan Zan Ben Mai Gesa Dombo Lai Yan Zen Jogi Udrene Ben Mai Jone Jesu Gudu Gandro Mambe Koi Je Jesu Dadru Je Jin Je
Lashe
Jesu Zoy Guru Bema Sede
Oeng Jen Yuji Nujan Zayen Bema Kesa Tombo Lai Anzen Yogi Modrene Bema Jene Shesu Jai Kodu Kandro Mambu Koi Chechi Jesu Tatu Je Je La Je Shesu Zoi Guru Bema Sede Oeng Jen Yuji Nujan Zai Bema Kesa Tombo Lai
Yamzen Jogging Odrune Bema Jone Jesu Drai Kodu Kandro Mambu Koi Je Jesu Nadru Je Je La Je Jesu Guru Bema Zede Engara Jere Zembe Mai Kara Jembai Nishun Asozun Nya Deden Jatsa Zoi Kate Lama Namla Sowan Den Zanlen Zebe Chendru Joni Tai Duje London Nyambe Dungai Yai Nadru Damba Bebe Dojo Ji Kode Chukur Zobe Lonjemba Trime Waze Shabla Zowa De Jecha Gonzen Trola Jetze De Trime Waze Yandro Tuteze Uze Lonje Namke Nanjur Jime Rimbe Shabla Sowan De Tusun Kunje Bema June Jizabde Tabung Azung Kolo Ju Sanje Limbe Yandru Betsu Jai Guzai Shembe Shabla Sowan De Pape Jite Wanju Tuje Drun Joa Tale Trombe De Point Drun Jose Donde Lonje Najur Pai
Jigme Jawe Nyugu Sowan De Mo Namba Kawe Rejoice Lama Pape Laye Jesu Zui Yonzo Tenla Membe Chenle Jen Jangyan Chenze Wangbo Zowa De Chita Jawe Sebo Shiva Lai Nanda Drube Wanchu Shawa Li Sawa Pancho Dunga Landro Ngun Jime Chuchi Wangbo Sowa De Sheyan Kate Dana Tenjun Che Wangkwe Kalun Jena Jenla Sunzi Jinden Lame Zonan La Sowan De Zun Chodeng Erju Zun De Chuchi Yingji Portran Na Dusun Zanje Kunji Uwen Ran Sen Juku Mundu Tunze Pe Tsawe Lama Nama Sowan De Paube Tsawe Lama Rinpoche Dagi Chivu Tenne Tenju Lai Katrin Jembu Kone Jezun De Kusun Tunji Mutu Saudu Zoi Je Wanju Kunzan Nuche Sen Jupe Jiao Trai Benza Tai Guru Chune Jamba Shene La Sowan Tezun Dorje Yeshe Durjun Dorje Kepa Shili Sen Same Jalu Ratu Yeshe Dun Tenjo Nimbu Shindan Bime Sha Sowan Tezun Dorje Yeshe Gyambo Jato Jada Temanju Jamba Chupa Ngada Triston Nai Kanje Bunze Pero Tujala Sowa Tevzu Dorje Yeshe Zoi Ning Dik Dadro Kunjen Trimehe Sakte Kabab Fixen Jitrale Fase Toka Kunzan Shemben Sha Sowa Tezo Turje Yeshe Zo Tabe Tunze Jawe Nuku Dai Ketan Drupe Kunju Dongale Katren Nyame Zawe Lama La Sowa Tezun Dorje Yeshe Zor Jada Jilu Wanju Jime Shin Chiche Zawe Tansi Namba Dai Teze Ngata Kapa Shile Yonzo Chile Zangu Shizun Nenju Yeje Nobu Tsoren Dai Mago Sanje Pone Pandene Pona Drecha Inzu Tate Sangaden Chalu Turje Membar Lotus Hook Sanje Kundu Padme Japsa Je Julu Nenga Tampe Sanzu Zen Jigme Tushu Tupe Najo Pai Mange Towa Tuwe Te Poyo Sawe Lama Pema Kawan La Sowan Te Sutra Rashine Salayonde Tataya Jete Gombo Cheda Yeme Sanjayo. Riggs and Dupa 5, Dese Sage. Rangi Ninge Wangi Uze Jiran Nene Lama Tani Zume Parinde Mahaguru Chilguru Jila Sunam La Jojo Dushi Javyo Mazangwa Mebe Korwa Dunje Dunje Namga Benzer Zaman Namo Tatan Daye Sem Gun Josun Owo Lama Dai Rinzen Jatsu Chingolai Nine Debe Jatsun Jin Tatan Daye Sem Josun Owo Lama Dai Rinzen Jatsu Chingolai Nine Debe Jatsun Jin Nyan Daye Sem Josun Owo Lama Dai Rinzen Jatsu Chilkolai Nine Tepe Tatsu Chio Rinzen Chilko Dishune Pama Jojo Sem Jengun Zeme Zinje Tuwe Chip Munju Dunda Jansen Jin Rinzen Jengun Dishune Pama Jojo Sem Jengun Zeme Zinje Tuwe Chip Munju Dunda Jansen Jin Rinzen Jengun Dishune Pama Jojo Sem Jengun Zeme Zinje Tuwe Chip Munju Dunda Jansen Jin Chule Chua Chi Shen De Ye She Yin Le De Ben La Nguyen De Ye Jin Chan San Lu Nyan Nyan Kon De Chue Pa Lu Ring Pan Se De Nan De Ya Chun Ni Se La Che Ran De Jen Lun Ne Chu Kor Kor Cha Le Chen Bo Chu Zo De Ke So Jun Bo Gu Ngo Zan
Hong Ba
So Shi Na Ran La Tim Ba Ju 3 Dese 14 Oen benza truda hayan giva oen be rani ke chigi wanjen danju to japu ju o haya griva oen be oen zo bawa shudo sawa dhamma so bawa Don Ba Ni Du Ju Don Beng An Le Rinpoche Ni Du Chi Nan Du San Den Ji Tor Ma Di Ka Zeng A Sun Le Tu Pe Tu Tse Jan Tu Chen Bo Ju Ho Ma Ho
Benza Samaza
Makaro Muka Savadamana
Adenu Benado de Uma Umbeso
Makaro Muka Savadamana
Adenu Benado de Uma Umbeso Makaro Muka Savadamana Benado de Uma Umbeso Bume Pade Sambare Varangesa Savaputa Agaranjaya Name Savatata Engatam Bayum Bishum Mukembe Savateka Ungate Savara Emang Gangana Kam Gehana Dambalenda Soha Sawan Bengane Nama Savatata Engatam Bayum Bishum Mukembe Savate Ungade Savarana Emang Gangana Kam Gehana Dambalenda Soha Sawan Bengane Nama Savatata Engatam Bayum Bishum Mukembe Savate Ungade Savarana Emang Gangana Kam Gehana Balenda Soha Judra Bechen de la da Padre de Jende Tomalon la Jende de Kalendana Doje Musbane Subane Hungana Gana Hungana Bangana Anaya Bangara Bidaran Zato Daya Humbe Musbane Subane Hungana Gana Hungana Bangana Anaya Bangara Bidaran Zato Daya Lobo nam don trebe chuyen an don samje Chugu bozane tambo sanje kondo sare ngare dungoje gonje la me jimbe yundu doje bozane garan jamba shenye da shese jana sota da daje la me jimbe bon dodo tebe bozane rinzin jeda pemanjong jemba nishu tsanga so ninju lame jinjembo jingron de la chajinjo duzen de la shajin lunga yela de jembo chodan tu mungu ju so mo ahu dada arale embe Chen la be chen na sa wen che ze ge ge sa na chen bo jo om ben za ar gam ba dam be be de be alo gen gen de ne we de sha da kun za Dani sanje kunji ngoe na se se no pe manjo sha che chani kamandai te son zo pe da da zo pe ka che te de nai cha ye tu je se nga ji yuan le ten na se go nai che la chan ze u la pe me ten ju su ja po ru pe ta zun jin ju su ja se te le lo ga ra tu je long gu je ka za do je tu kan lo te u su to me go ko za ya yo nang ge do Ching kur pe manda je de wen e de le dong go pa chen chu pe re je guan zhang ze ta pe che chan ne ta ru chu ru chu dan da cha ja ka je ru chu xin chung dong san yin den du pe je Mo sa ban sen ja pe nai chu pe je ma di je nai nan je cha lu man ye je do je gan da je yan je den je je de shi je ge ye dan ba wo kan ru su de je go ta wo shui jin zhang ba ge dun jun dai wan zhen yi shu zai jie sui ga de dan zhen lun dan zui gu shi gen zhen de shi zai kun zhai nan do ru ping ai sa la ma de lun jie zhui ne sun yi ge sun jin zhen do
je sun je ngo wo zhe che le wo ze ran zhe pe ran zhen zhe ye ne zhe dan lu zhe zhen zhe pe ne ne yo de zhe 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 dai che pa nga ya lang e le zan de bao che ri wo ne zen de pe che ho lai chen zhen nen de zaman ma ke sa dong bo la yam zen cho ge ngue de ne pe ma ju ne je su dan ko de kan do bo ta yin zen do do jan zu ko je 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 su da ru je 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 la je she su so ne zo de lu chen bo la du cho la la wa ji ko ge da long de ba je so cho da tu mo ngu do Put pe ta su lai, ye ye yin le tru pe po nya wa, ching he yong so la la chan zai de. 20 and 38. O ma o petra kuru pema siddhi o a o pezama guru sava siddhi o bisho bisho de penza Nansi silno entukara rezen japo toje chu kudo cheru nungu ta tsangse chata tembala shauchi chani shima tru chugu uchen do suchen do je jugu no way pai na joy mubo trito chen chalu yadra Nikayan Shindu Chape Nanju Chen Zame Dewa Jepur Jur 1926 Tukape Mani De De Oye Tinge Takpur Tu Ngatre Mbuje Tawu Pur Uze Trupe Nuchu Jai Nanda Pae Taldu Koi Madru Partu Itarmo. Oh. Oh.
Mom Benzan Guru Bemazede
21, Trente Nove. Tuke
Ngante Ye Gole Ngante Lugu Judan Yeshe Zembe Jane Do Yunje Yashu Guye Jun Tuke Banla Yungun Tue Gasan Lam Gyuden Game Dabun Ya Yun Deva Jembu Nya Zudu Me Bangawale Tuje Uze Kundu Zodan Goje Damje Jai De Toi She Jam Ne Jande Jubu Rulu Shane Kunlu Juru Yin Re Nime Janju Se Zanai Da Ranja Je Jingur Jitu Zopa La Riba De Yume Shao
Benzama Guru Savaside
Leishi Lunji Dupa
Shuruji A E U Renle E U Anga Gaga Ganga Zada Danya Dada Dana Dada Dana Baba Yelava Shaka Sahai Jamban Zada Sudmaya Manbayan Sudin Badun Majamana Yesoa
23, 42. Uma uenji nana je be je ne je de yo nana dai dai je da chao ze de ben de ra da da re ke je yo we kama dai de je jo we be ma bu je jan je yo ko ye she yen zo nan da de che be ja chen bo zo rin zen de be la la bo je ne wan dang zo Quattro. Presente pece quattro ce matan de paia tenzen gemon de la so capra non baso Chubundu Vajiranle Tupe Chengola Yeshe Yinzu Benza Chito Jime Laku Dai Desu Zape Geza Kue Nam Chen De Me Jurun Ho Dasu De Pa Che Pa Nan Zombo Jidu Sanje Shu Desu Zape Geza Kue Nam Chen De Me Jurun Ho Dasu De Pa Che Pa Nan Zombo Jidu Sanje Shu Desu Zape Geza Kue Nam Chen De Me Jurun Ho tatsun du pa che pa na
tsompo je do san je sho
ri zen ju pe chen la dai kon sho sun je ten pa dai sang na sang mo ten zhe je 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 shi wei ta shi shu te su je pe ta shi shu na wa wan de ta shi shu lo zhen sa zhe ta shi shu
na she la gu sha sha zo
sha sha te che na su na tre te pu se chu gu ne ja le zan da ta Tanje zipani tune ni petrana manje ne chikana chi palan trupai sipe zule truva truva shu jampo pawa chita chambata kuntu zambo te ande jende de da kunji jesu talo che ke wadida kachera tu mutu sun shikpe jawa tanje che ngowa kama chutunga pade dagi kewe tsawati kunja sampo chuchira tu ngowa ji kandu chepe chewa tanje du tori den du parsho che mata tu che dan che je che so shen du pe rawa tu parsho de yan lama tamba ne je che
nin dan sen do
chu la chu parsho chu to ne bo tan je te pe cha to kawa sho si pa dan be chara tan je che shen ben du la chang me pa jo la chen je no jo re me pa ye tam je cha chi san je to pa sho chan chu sen jo rimbo che ma che pa na che je che pa nyam ba me pa da
kone kondu be wa sho
Feast. Concise feast.
Okay, sorry, Majid.
No problem.
Concise should feasting conciso. Lume konjo zanjing awani kusum
jawa janso
chizun choy kanzun juchi chapo zachemba dujo limbe
shamla sovande konde danya june robalo
todra nanja
sanje to bajo
Chame konjo sasum chatso chun. Kusun chutun singen kotan. Deje deje ashe chatso chun. Kusun pita sunne chun.
Malu jabeze junyen bedun jujemize pelonju dedun omane beme onre omane beme onre omane beme onre dala sangen leche jaja gai ne kasta tu jawe chezen joduna lame tepe Kuyune Kunzan Jasui Chembo to Paro Danri Rawe Kowe Inganzu Pendan Bewa Malu Jenwe Jenre Ziwa Zen Yatui Shape Kaje Badu Danger Chi Sasun Kundu Lopon Bema Jeng Gandro Lunden Tandun Jabu Zon
Jimere Bansen Bezonan Jimmy Shite Udu Dembe Sotu Tenyen Bonaju Tenluchi Minjo Namgan Zola Wanju Negele Tenroi Pasta Jezepe Tutu Mimaju Nujaten Luchu Sun Jawa Shato Jenla Dan Dajen Jinjon Zumbe Chunlechi Shape Doje Chusura Tenji Tenle Chatsoy Gochen Chapchu Chi Chingme Tushu Chupan Akiwa Chutung Chupaten Ubui Ninge Kupa Malu Rapsame Under Tenle Tatu Jeju Chi Tende Chungwe Nechi Poet Empire Nepada Tempan Zimbe Jebuna Kutse Chatsen Tenju Chi Kenlo Chusun Remu Che Tanle Zasun Japata Tuju Chusun Awada Mitra Dusun Gele Shu Nandra Visun Lana Chukung Agudai Shirupa Janle Pe Sapsana Jurchin Boy Nyam Lena Yume Tujin Dile Roji Shu Chewa Kundu Yanda Lamada Dame Juji Bala Lonju Che Sada Lanji Yonde Azune Pade Lame Gomba Yoto
Okay. Mm. I think we will finish the Ringzung Dupa on the third tune. Then the last tune, then the contemplation, especially contemplations and meditations, and then Jnanisi practice, Sur practice, we have those things, yeah? Sur is where, usually, where do you have? Third tune. Maybe put it on the last tune, maybe better. We change the Sur into the last tune, and then I have one big request to sing here. We have all the mantras to roll, and I don't want to ask everyone to do every day, but maybe we can rotate. Maybe half an hour, last tune, half an hour, we rotate, so maybe 4 or 5 people can roll, maybe Melissa can show how to roll. I will bring down saffron, and then we can put a saffron on and so forth, and rolling. Basically half an hour of the last tune while people are meditating, and then we can meditate also while we are rolling. Yes, I think we must have. Do we have some extra table somewhere?
I'm sure we'll find tables.
Yeah, then we can set it up here. So maybe 3 or 4 people we can do at maybe 4 or 5 people at evening. Half an hour, that might be not so. Huh? Vows? Oh, no problem. We have outer, inner, secret boundaries all set, so vow is there already. No problem. Thank you. Because this is mantra supposed to be rolled long time ago, but just always forgets. I think that we're going to push this time. This is for the Guru Rinpoche statue in Yeshiling. And I really hope next year, no obstacles, then next year we will consecrate the Guru Rinpoche statue. Thank you.